Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with Brandon Devine here, and we're going to go right into the question that I was asking when we left before, which is that I know that you are currently married to another ex-member, but you married after you both had left. Do you think that both being ex-members of the House of Yahweh has made your marriage harder or easier, and if so, how? Or has it done a little bit of both?
I would say both, for sure. I'll go with the easier. Easier because we know what each other's been through. So when I react a certain way about something that someone else might be like, what the hell are you talking about? She kind of understands.
Right.
Um, Difficult on the aspect because sometimes we both try to go in the opposite spectrum of how we were raised, and we kind of, but we don't do it at the same time. So we kind of get stuck between this. What are you doing? Don't do it that way. Remember, we're trying to avoid that. And then another person's
Right.
like, "You're right.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right."
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Thanks for reminding me.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So do you think that that in general that both being ex-members of the House of Yahweh affects your marriage like on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, mainly because my wife is very, I don't want to say she has hatred because that's not the case, but she is very uncomfortable with the fact that my mother has never ever tried to see her grandkids.
Mm,
And so our biggest issue is she's my mom. She's always going to be my mom.
right.
Um, if there were a time where her eyes would open and she would decide to leave, I'm going to be there for her. No matter how many people she's wronged, how many lives that she may have ruined, I need to help her. And
I love
my
that,
wife,
Brandon. I love that. I think that's
and
awesome. That's
right.
called forgiveness. That's called being an adult. That's called moving on. I think that's awesome that you're at that point.
Well, at times I have to convey to my wife my feelings about it because essentially or immediately her first reaction is like, I don't want her in my house, you
Mm,
know? So, but she soon gets over it after we discuss it and I explain to
right.
her everything that's going on. It's like, if your mom had ever done me wrong or anything like that and I was really upset about it, and I always know that she's still your mom, like, and that's something that we have to work on. If that
Right.
ever became the case, we'll figure something out.
Right. You deal with it as it comes.
Exactly.
Do you hear from your mom now?
So, well, I actually texted my mom yesterday, and just because we had a death in the family, and I just texted her and like, hey, did you hear that so and so had passed away? And I got a yep, and that was it. But I mean, other than that, if we do an extensive conversation, it's never over the phone. It's always through a text, and it's short to the point. How's the weather? How's this person doing? You
Brandon, does
know,
she ever
it,
ask about your children?
no. Um, she has one time. She said she asked if I had any current pictures, and I sent her a few over the phone. But I mean, shoot, that was 2 years ago.
Wow.
But yeah.
So, if I may interject for a moment,
Mhm.
I almost wonder if your mom doesn't talk about them or talk to them or ask for pictures all the time because she knows that she would desire to be with you and your children. Um,
Or at the
I
least,
know
she
your
would
mom.
desire to see them.
All right.
Yeah, I know your mom, and I know your mom from this spectrum to this spectrum, And I know that when I had my Sarah Beth, she was all about, I can't wait until I have grandchildren. I can't wait to spoil them and love them. So it may, I don't know. It may be possible that she's so scared that if she sees them or becomes attached to them, that she may have to admit where she is in her life. She shouldn't be.
And that, that's a high possibility. I mean, I know it would definitely affect me.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things where no religious organization should ever keep you from your family, or from being in contact with people you love and care about. And I'm not a grandmother yet. I look forward to being a grandmother one day, but I can tell you that I can't imagine having grandchildren that I wasn't allowed to see. That would be very difficult. I can't even fathom it.
Well,
go ahead.
She puts on a little bit of a front in front of her people about it. My wife, she still goes on the little website and watches their videos and stuff just to kind of see what they're talking about lately.
Right.
And she came across one of my mom's sermons, and she was like, "Hey, listen to this." And my mom made mention, I used to have a son, and that hurts a little bit,
Yeah.
But I know that it's what she's told to say. It's how she's told to think.
Absolutely.
She's following someone else.
Right. And that's why we want to do this podcast, because if she happens to watch this and the time comes, she's got to know, don't feel guilt, shame, anything over anything you were told to do while there.
Oh, for sure.
We'll even me, and I know people are probably falling out their seats, but even I would be like, what do we need to do? How do we help her? And just be willing to help her get through it. I think that's an amazing attitude you have.
Absolutely. That's
and I hope she watches this, and I hope
I
she
do too. Maybe it will spark something in her. You never know.
I'm sure it'll get around to it.
Your next question's already been answered. I see that on them, so I'm going to skip ahead here.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you had the most difficulty with reintegrating back into society after you left the House of Yahweh?
Structure, for one. I made such little money while I was there. When I got out and I did get a job, I thought I was rich, and I was not. But man, I got that check and I did things that I didn't normally get to do.
So Brandon, I'm going to ask you, because a lot of other people have said this. What was your weekly blessing? What did you make in the House of Yahweh?
So after I broke that window, my first little envelope I got was $2.50.
I hope it went up a little bit as you got older.
It did.
Okay.
As far as I know, I was one of the...
Look at her face.
Well, I was 12 years old. $2.50
was $2.50 you didn't have the day before.
I didn't get an allowance, so shoot. But after I got married, and I had appointments. I always had appointments with Israel trying to get an increase, because it was rough. I got up to $80 a week, and my wife at the time, she made 40. So together we made $120, and we did what we could with that. So as a family.
Right.
Wow.
So what was the difficulty? I'm sorry, we kind of interrupted you there. What was the difficulty when you reintegrated? We were getting a real paycheck.
Right.
How was that difficult?
Managing my money. I was receiving help I was staying with a family member, working overnight. Didn't know anybody because when I left there, I moved right away. I moved to St. Louis and just started over. And I worked at Target. That was my first job. And I think, man, working a 40-hour a week at Target, I think every 2 weeks I was making like $550. Man, that was a lot of money, but it went quick. So that structure and that financial discipline was really, really tough. And it took a toll on me for a few years. And eventually I joined the military. I joined the Air Force because I felt like I needed structure myself. And I felt like it would help me. When I was younger, you're in the House of Yahweh, you're kind of told what you need to do, and you do it their way. So I felt like that would be an easy transition for me, being in the military, being told what I need to do, and doing it.
You're not the only one, especially young men. A lot of young men that have come out do the same thing. I think it's because they do feel a little lost without that structure.
Yeah. And honestly, I loved it. I love everything about the military. I love all of it. I love the Air Force. They did me really good. I didn't like my job so much, but just if you ever join the military, guys, choose the job you want. but yeah, for sure.
Brendan, what was a traumatic, if you don't mind sharing, what was a traumatic memory that you remember from the House of Yahweh?
Traumatic.
What do you feel was the most traumatic thing that happened to you while you were there?
For me personally, it was the expectation, overall. I can't really pinpoint one particular thing that happened to me. But the reason I left was probably the most traumatic thing, essentially, and it came down to financials. I was working at this time, I had left the sound room because me and my stepdad, we were taking our home problems to work and our work problems home, and it was all bad. So I asked for a transfer, and I ended up going on to the electrical crew, working with plumbing and electrical stuff. And we did a job for Israel in Abilene under city ordinance, and I got paid. It took us about 2 weeks to do it, so I got my $80 a week. So $160 to do this job from start to finish. And as the job was done, I watched a city certified electrician come in and sign his name on our work and get $500 to do it. And I had a real problem with that because we did all the work and we were not certified electricians. And he came in, signed his name, and made more money than we did for his signature.
Wow.
I brought that to some attention, my counselors, and I was pretty much told to shut up and color, do what you're told, things like that. And
Stay in the lane. Stay in your lane.
Exactly. And it started my spiral. After that, I was disgruntled.
Right.
Understandably. I was really into sports, and I was told that I needed to quit placing these athletes as gods in my life, like I was wanting to be like them. And I was just trying to be physically active. I liked basketball a lot. I went and bought a little portable goal, and every day I would come home and there'd be a new brush pile in front of the goal, and I'd have to move it, and then the next day there'd be another trash pile in front of the goal. Like they're always just trying to steer me in the direction they wanted me to go in, and not the direction that my life was taking me.
There was an instant when you were working on the farm, correct, with one of the elders, and I think you shared it with me. Do you know which incident I'm talking about?
I was working I was actually on the electrical crew, but the incident that I had with him went further back when I was working in the book room, and this particular elder was talking about financials and how he had just bought a new PlayStation, and now he didn't know how he was going to pay his electrical bill, and I was like, well, why'd you buy the PlayStation? And he's like, it's PlayStation. PlayStation. And I was like, well, then just pull the money out of your butt. And that ticked him off, and he hauled off and smacked me in the back of the head. And everyone that was in there, their eyes got big, like, oh man, you should have done that, because, I mean, you know who my mom is, right? You gonna lay your hands on me? Anyway, I went straight into the office and told, and he got relieved that day, got sent home, and I got a fistful of quarters, and I got to go up to the Sonic batting cages and go hit some balls for the rest of the day. That was
now, how old were you?
This time I was probably about 15. I would say about 15. Yeah.
Wow. Brandon, do you have any positive memories from the House of Yahweh?
Oh man, all my positive memories have to do with hanging out with my friends. Back when we could, going out and playing basketball on the gravel roads. Usually a day. My most exciting part was the few days before the feast would start and all the out-of-towners would come in, and you get to see all these faces that you haven't seen in 4, 5, 6 months, and people that you've written letters to, or things like that, and you're going to get to see them in person again and hang out for a little while. Like, man, that was a lot of fun, before it became a drag. But yeah, those are probably my best memories, hanging out with people that I still have friendships with today.
Look at us too.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
get it.
Well, I mean, and I don't know if you remember, Brandon, Mel, but we had the little shack at the old press room, the candy snack shack, and we all had to take turns in their work. It was concession stand.
Yeah, the
You guys had like
concession
your little
stand.
youth
Yep.
group.
Yep.
Yeah. And Brandon and Gary used to always want to come in there and work with us.
Yep.
So we've known Brandon just as long as we've known each other. That's wild if you think about it, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, he was obviously quite a little bit younger than us. It seemed like a lot at the time.
How much younger? Remember, we don't speak of my age on
Oh, okay.
here.
Sorry, I know. I always bring it up.
You guys were teenagers. I was a kid.
Yes.
No, we were not teenagers. We were tweens. We weren't quite there yet. Let's not let people do math, Brandon.
All right.
Brandon, do you have any words for the young men that are still there that may be wanting to lead? Do you have any words or advice, encouragement for them?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's never too late to start over. I left when I was about 21, almost 22. It was 2004, July 4th actually. It was like my freedom.
Independence Day.
Independence Day, that's right. And it's never too late to start. You think that it's rough, but it only gets better, because you end up finding your footing, finding the things that you need to do to work it out, and don't ever think that you can't do it, because you can do it. I promise you can do it. And there's enough people out here that you can ask questions, and some of them will even walk you through most of the issues, because I guarantee you we've been there.
Right, absolutely. So this is another unanticipated thing. Do you have a message you want to give to your mom?
Probably the same message, but that I do love her. She'll always be my mother. I do hope that she finds her way to us, to the truth, to out of the lies and the deceit. Because that's all it really is. I know that she has a lot of authority, power, and that's awesome. It's good and all, but it doesn't last. There's always going to be someone someone's going to come in younger and prettier, and you're going to get old and get pushed to the side.
Right.
But your family will always be there for you, I promise.
I love that message, Brandon. I love that.
That was okay.
So, I know that speaking out isn't always easy, and we thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, Brandon. And also for anyone else out there who would like to share their story or speak out or be on our show and interview with us, please contact either myself or Ariel Autumn, aka Autumn. And you can find us both on Facebook. You can also leave us a message on either our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, and we will get back with you about doing that. And as always, we want to encourage you to please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And again, thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Autumn, for being my co-host today. It's been fun, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.